Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to this session of the Montgomery County Council. This afternoon, we have two proclamations to begin with. The first proclamation is recognizing Megan Jones, honoring her life of advocacy and service, and Councilmember Lukey will be presenting this.
Megan's proclamation, please come on up and join us up here because we have a lot of friends. Yes. How are you? Good to see you. How have you been? Wherever you'd like to stand. Wherever you want to be. Stand somewhere where somebody can see you. Yeah. Sorry. No, that's like, oh, look at you with your Mardi Gras shirt. Love it. Thank you. You guys can fill in more back here. The tall guys back here. Hi, Mindy. You're not a tall guy.
You hold my picture. I'm too tall. I need to go back.
I think you can all tell from the gathering we have assembled here just how special and remarkable a person Megan Jones was to our community and how she is living on in each of us as we move forward. Megan was an extraordinary person who lived a life of service, whose motto was "nothing about us without us," correct? As a consummate advocate for the developmental disabilities community, and in her life of service in faith and in overall community building. She was beloved by all who knew her. And although I only got to know her for a very short time over the past few years, the absence and the announcement of her passing at the age of 35 on January 8th was shocking. And I know it was shocking to everyone here because everyone loved her so much and respected her commitment and her work and the joy she brought to all she did in our community. And I am thankful that she shared so much of herself with everyone up here, friends of all ages. Many of you viewed her as family of choice, yes? And family of choice is a very important thing these days, now more than ever. We recognize that family means something much, much bigger and much stronger than just those you are related to by blood. And so I wanted to make sure we had the opportunity to honor her service. She was vice chair of the state's Developmental Disabilities Council, a position she was appointed to in 2022. Governor Moore and First Lady Dawn Moore mourned her loss and knew her personally through her advocacy. And I know we will continue honoring that as we all move forward. And I want to say a special heartfelt condolence to her parents, Sylvia and Bob, who are here today, and to also commend them because despite their loss, their extraordinary loss, I know Sylvia's been out fighting the good fight on behalf of this community and continuing to advocate strongly and passionately for the developmental disabilities community. I know I saw her at Developmental Disabilities Day and she was down there ready to make sure she was heard and that this community was uplifted. And so for that is a very hard thing to do. And we all owe her a debt of gratitude for her continued service in continuing to honor Megan's work and Megan's legacy on behalf of this incredible community. So thank you, Sylvia. Did you want to speak today? Up to you. Yeah, absolutely.
I just want to thank everybody for supporting us and through these hard times and her passing, your prayers, your thoughtfulness. And thank you for coming today. This means a lot to Bob and I and Alex and Keegan. Thank you again.
I'm looking for Jen Lynn Kerwin. Ah, okay. Yes. She disappeared. Yes, yes, ma'am. I would love for Jen Lynn Kerwin, Director of Up-County Community Resources, to speak for a moment as well.
Oh boy, I've been crying in the back. Yeah, I wasn't ready for this. Wow. Megan is a force, and she remains a force in this community. I can hear her telling me, "You sit down. This is not your day to work. I'm the boss." And I will never forget it. As one of the founding board members for UCR wouldn't exist without Megan and Sylvia. Right? I mean, this is an incredible organization built on their backs and their tireless efforts for advocacy and love and making sure everybody is accepted and included in all parts of the community. That's about all I can do because I'm going to start crying now. And I don't know if Rachel Chung had a word, our board chair.
Thank you. Thank you again so much to the Montgomery County Council for recognizing Megan. I think this is why this proclamation is so important. Megan did not need us. We needed her. Megan created a better Rockville, a better Maryland, a better Giant where she worked, and a better church. She was a very faithful Catholic through her advocacy, joy, and love of life. When our communities are inclusive, we all benefit. Megan helped me grow as a disability rights advocate and a better member of the church. So again, thank you again for this proclamation. Let's honor the memory of Megan now. Let us be strengthened and resolved to continue our work towards a gentler and more inclusive world. Thank you again.
And I know there's information posted on Up-County Community Resources website about the memorial service that will take place to celebrate Megan's life on July 12th at St. Francis of Assisi in Durwood. So stay tuned or check the website for additional information if you'd like to join us in that celebration. And with that, I will read the proclamation. The Montgomery County Council of Montgomery County, let me start that over again. The County Council of Montgomery County, Maryland. Whereas, while Megan Jones left us far too soon, her life is a legacy of determination, commitment, and advocacy for people with disabilities. And whereas Megan and her mother Sylvia were major forces in creating a sense of community within the Down syndrome population by launching Up-County Community Resources to foster inclusion and acceptance in everyday life for people with developmental and intellectual differences. And whereas Megan's advocacy led her to the Maryland Developmental Disabilities Council, where she was elected vice chair in 2022, she testified numerous times before state legislators in Annapolis, most recently on a bill that removed harmful and outdated language from state laws. And whereas a woman of deep faith, Megan was a longtime lecturer, usher, and altar server at St. Francis of Assisi in Durwood. While in high school, she was the first person with a developmental disability to serve as a lector at a Mass with Pope Francis at the National Shrine in Washington, D.C. In constant pursuit of how best to serve others, she completed an American Sign Language certificate program at Montgomery College in 2023, enabling her to interpret readings, homilies, and hymns during Masses for the hearing impaired. And whereas upon her passing, Megan was recognized by Governor Moore for her important role in advocating for Maryland's disability community, calling attention to challenges and working to be an active part of the solution. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the County Council of Montgomery County, Maryland hereby recognizes and pays tribute to the life and legacy of Megan Jones. And be it further resolved that Megan Jones lived her life with joy, spirit, and as an example for all of us as a strong and tireless champion for individuals with disabilities, presented on this 4th day of March in the year 2025.
Great. Thank you to everyone who joined us today. Thank you, Councilmember Lukey, for putting this together. It's a great afternoon that we can celebrate and honor the life of Megan Jones. Next, we have a proclamation recognizing Middle Eastern Heritage Month, presented by myself and the county executive, who I believe is here. All right. Good afternoon, everyone. Everyone who is here for our Middle Eastern Heritage Month proclamation, please come up. And we are so glad to be able to have you all with us today. We come together this afternoon to celebrate the Middle Eastern Heritage Month here in Montgomery County. We're joined by some residents here, and I will have them introduce themselves in a moment. But we just want to say thank you to all members of our Middle Eastern community. We know our Middle Eastern community comes from diverse backgrounds with roots in countries like Iran, Iraq, Syria, Egypt, Palestine, Jordan, Turkey, and more. And each community brings its own rich cultural heritage to Montgomery County through unique traditions, languages, and perspectives. And we're just so thankful that all of you are here. We also know this is the start of Ramadan. It was this past weekend, and we just want to wish everyone who celebrates Ramadan Mubarak and hope for a joyful Ramadan season. And now I'll turn it over to our liaison, who will, to the Arab American community, who will provide remarks.
Thank you so much, Council President. Good afternoon, Council President Kate Stewart, esteemed members of the County Council, and also our distinguished guests, and our cherished member of the Middle Eastern American Advisory Group, Debbie and Amjad. It is with the great pride we are gathering today to honor the remarkable contribution of the Middle Eastern American in Montgomery County. Of course, they contribute in all walks of life in Montgomery County, and today we are gathering to celebrate the month of March and announce it as Middle Eastern Heritage Month. I am honored today to have Dr. Debbie Trent, who is going to deliver remarks on behalf of the Middle Eastern American community.
Very low for me. Okay. I come with greetings from all of the Middle Eastern American Advisory Group to our fellow residents of Montgomery County, the County Council, and our appointing official, County Executive Mark Elrich. I'm honored to be speaking here on behalf of our 10 volunteer members, having resided in Silver Spring and now Kensington since 1988. Most of the Middle Eastern American Advisory Group, or MEAG, and including our liaison, ARWA, are immigrants. The rest of us have descendants from the broader Middle East and Southwest Asia, or we married up into the MEA community. I call myself a mutt with 50% Lebanese roots. Who exactly are Middle Eastern Americans? There is no accurate estimated data about Middle Eastern Americans. The 2020 U.S. Census reports 3.5 million respondents, identifying as people of Middle Eastern or North African roots. But those numbers don't capture the diversity of our MEA community, which is blessed with residents of Pakistani, Afghan, Israeli, Turkish, and even more diverse heritage. MEAG has been fortunate to count those cultures among our members since 2008. In addition to our diverse heritage and thinking about a message underlying these remarks, our gratitude for, there are certain touchstones. Our communal culture, our gratitude for life here in the county, our concerns, our opportunities, and our hopes. I landed on civic responsibility, the challenges and hopes of being responsible. President John F. Kennedy intoned civic responsibility at his inaugural address on January 20th, 1961. According to the National Archives, the climax of the speech and its most remarkable phrase and memorable phrase, "Ask not what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country," was honed down from a thought about sacrifice that Kennedy had long held in his mind and had expressed in various ways in the campaign speeches he made prior to that. Kennedy's question has been traced to Gibran Khalil Gibran, the Lebanese Arab poet, journalist, and artist, who wrote in 1925 to his countrymen and countrywomen, "Are you a politician asking what your country can do for you, or a zealous one asking what you can do for your country? If you are the first, then you are a parasite. If the second, then you are an oasis in the desert." All of us here carry that legacy. It is in the spirit of our communal life and heritage, especially during these challenging times, and you saw some of that challenge in and out of the room today, that MEAG will celebrate this month with a community resource fair on Saturday, April 5th, at the Executive Office Building cafeteria across the way. You now have your save the date. Invitations are forthcoming. We hope to see many of you there because we are stronger together. MEAG looks forward to continuing our cultural and educational work this year and beyond. Thanks again.
Thank you for those words. And now I'd like the other folks who have come to celebrate this day with us to introduce themselves.
This is Amjad Chaudhry from the Beth Rahman Mosque, and I'd like to invite you. March 16, we have a dinner and interfaith dinner. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for this wonderful honor. My name is Samira Hussein, and I'm a friend of the Middle Eastern American Advisory Group.
Assalamu alaikum. Peace be with you all. Ramadan Mubarak. My name is Dr. Wafa Hosian. I'm the Islamic Center of Maryland Academy School Principal. Thank you for doing this for us.
Hello, my name is Shahrzad Nahostin. I'm a MEAG member, Middle Eastern Advisory Group. Thank you for having us.
Good afternoon, everyone. Ramadan Mubarak. My name is Shaza Ahmed. I am a mom. I am a resident of Montgomery County. And I'm just like, one of the vets who have been fired lately. And it's my honor to be here. And I am one of the Middle Eastern Advisory Group. Thank you so much.
Good afternoon. My name is Suzanne Borno. I'm a retired Montgomery County public school teacher. It's an honor to be here.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you so much. Thank you for being here and exemplifying the diversity of our Middle Eastern community and for all you do in our community. Now I will read the proclamation. Whereas Montgomery County is a vibrant and inclusive community enriched by the diverse skills, values, and knowledge of its multicultural residents, and whereas the Middle Eastern American community is a multi-ethnic, multi-religious, and multilingual group that has significantly contributed to the cultural, social, and economic fabric of Montgomery County, and whereas the observance of Middle Eastern American Heritage Month serves to honor the achievements and contributions of residents of Middle Eastern descent, promote the appreciation of Middle Eastern customs and traditions, and amplify the voice of the Middle Eastern American community. Now, therefore, be it resolved that Mark Elridge as County Executive and myself, Kate Stewart, as the Council President of Montgomery County, Maryland, hereby proclaim March 25th as Middle Eastern American Heritage Month in Montgomery County. We encourage all residents to join us in recognizing and celebrating the invaluable contributions of Middle Eastern American community and to participate in the many, many upcoming events and activities this month. Thank you so much. All right, I think we can get one of these. All right, we have a few minutes before we can begin our public hearing. I want to again thank everyone who is here for the proclamations this afternoon, and to let you know that our colleague Kristen Mink, Councilmember Mink, is joining us virtually. And I think we'll just wait a minute until we 1:30 until we'll start our public hearing. So just relax for 3 minutes. All right, we can do the announcements. All right, why don't we do that? Madam Clerk, please share today's announcements.
Thank you. I'll try to speak slowly. Good afternoon. Public hearings on the proposed FY26 operating budgets and FY26 to 31 public services program and fiscal policy for the following: Montgomery County Government, Montgomery College, Maryland National Capital Park and Planning Commission, WSSC Water, and Montgomery County Public Schools will be held on Monday, April 7th, 2025 at 1:30 p.m. and 7 o'clock p.m. and Tuesday, April 8th, 2025 at 1:30 p.m. and 7 o'clock p.m. Those wishing to provide testimony in person or virtually must register in advance via the Council's website beginning on Friday, March 7th, 2025 at 9 o'clock a.m. Written, audio, and video testimony may be submitted via the Council's website. Also, the Montgomery County Council is seeking applicants for the Board of Investment Trustees for the Montgomery County Employee Retirement Plans and the Board of Trustees for the Consolidated Retiree Health Benefits Trust. Applications for the vacancy are due by 5 o'clock p.m. on Monday, March 31st, 2025. Cover letters and resumes may be submitted by email to council.clerk@montgomerycountymd.gov, and more information is available on the Council's website. Finally, as Council President Stewart announced, Councilmember Sales and Councilmember Mink are expected to be participating in today's meeting virtually. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you so much for the announcements. All right, our minutes for today. We have February 11th, 2025 council session and have been circulated to everyone. Are there any objections to approving the minutes from February 11th council session? Seeing none, these minutes stand approved. We still got a minute. I think we can. I think we had one person in person today, Mr. Kevin Doxey. Yes. All right, it is now 1:30. We can begin the public hearing. I'm sorry, I had to read the thing. I'm just all discombobulated this afternoon. See, this is what happens when we take the morning off. And we start the council meeting in the afternoon. It just completely throws me off. All right, item 1 is a public hearing on Bill 3-25 Homeowners Tax Credit County Supplement Amendments. This bill would alter eligibility requirements to receive the county supplemental to the homeowners tax credit, alter the amounts of the county supplement to the homeowners tax credit, and generally amend tax credits available to county residents. A Government Operations and Fiscal Policy Committee work session is scheduled for March 13th, 2025. Those wishing to submit material for the council's consideration should do so by the close of business on March 6, 2025. As a reminder, our public hearing testimony guidelines: your comments must be limited to issues relevant to the public hearing topic for which you are testifying and are appropriate for a public meeting. You will hear a tone when your time is up, and we appreciate everyone abiding by their allotted time. And now we will begin the public hearing.
Thank you, President, Council President, and members of the council. My name is Kevin Doxey, and I offer testimony today as president of Montgomery County chapter of the Military Officers Association of America. MOA is the fourth largest military service organization in the country, and we advocate for all parts of the uniformed services community on issues of interest. Having recently heard separately from Councilman Friedson at our January chapter event of his concerns regarding the housing affordability within the county as a chapter, we heard the message and are pleased to lend our voice in support of enacting Bill 325. While it is highly unlikely that any of the retired or former commissioned officers would be beneficiaries of the legislation, the same cannot be said for those veterans from the enlisted community wishing to reside or continue to reside here in Montgomery County. In the interest of advocating a potential means of helping alleviate the financial burdens for those of lesser means, we respectfully ask for the council affirmative consideration of Bill 325. Respectfully, Kevin Doxey, Colonel, U.S. Army, retired. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Doxey. That is our only in-person testimony today. Next, we'll go virtual, and the first is we have Maya Talisha Searcy.
Thank you, Council President Stewart and Montgomery County Council for the opportunity to speak today. The City of Tacoma Park supports County Council Bill 325, and we urge you to act to update eligibility requirements for the county's supplemental low-income housing tax credit in 4 ways: the income limit, the net worth, the amount of assessed value the credit applies to, and the annual adjustment based on the Consumer Price Index. The City of Tacoma Park offers a tax rebate to homeowners based on the criteria established under the state's Homeowners Property Tax Credit Program. Today, about 100 low-income households in Tacoma Park receive the credit tax rebate. However, we often hear that there is a greater need for property tax relief due to the escalating cost of living in the area. Based on analysis of the Comprehensive Housing Affordability Strategy dataset, city staff estimate that up to 20% of Tacoma Park owner-occupied households may be considered as cost burden based on household income and home expenses. Moreover, even very low home owners may not qualify for the state tax credit. In 2024, the area median income for a family of 4 in Montgomery County was $154,000. Over $154,000. The 50% AMI was $61,900 for a household of 2 people and $77,350 for a family of 4. The tax credit program, as currently designed, does not reach the residents who need it the most. The current income eligibility thresholds are woefully out of date. All 3 components must be adjusted to recognize current fiscal realities of our low-income household homeowners. Recent Social Security payments increases have put some of our low-income homeowners over the $60,000 income limit. Inflation has lowered the value of a $200,000 net worth, and rising home assessments reduce the impact of the credit in alleviating tax burden. Additionally, we must all acknowledge that inflation has a significant effect on residents' tax burden. If an annual adjustment of inflation is not included as part of 325, we will be right back here in a few years requesting an additional adjustment. Therefore, Tacoma Park considers Montgomery County Property Tax Bill 325 to be a step in the right direction to address the needs of our low-income homeowners. Thank you for the opportunity to comment in support of this bill.
Thank you, Mayor Searcy. Next, we have Sarah Redinger.
Good afternoon. My name is Sarah Redinger, and I'm the Vice President of Housing and Community Strategies with Habitat for Humanity Metro Maryland. And Habitat for Humanity Metro Maryland is a nonprofit that serves Montgomery and Prince George's counties. We build and sell and preserve affordable homeownership in partnership with limited income families. And on behalf of Habitat, I want to thank Council President Stewart and Council Members Friedson and Katz for sponsoring this bill, and so many of your Council Member colleagues for co-sponsoring as well. I know that you all know that lack of access to affordable housing is a pervasive issue, and that in order to solve this crisis, we need to develop new housing while also ensuring that existing homes remain affordable. And for the past 15 years, Habitat has worked with hundreds of homeowners on limited incomes to ensure that they could afford health, safety, accessibility, and energy efficiency improvements in their homes. And much of that work we have done in partnership with the county. While these services are a necessary step to ensuring long-term affordability, many homeowners are still at risk of losing their homes due to increasing property taxes. As we all know, the COVID-19 pandemic has had long-lasting effects on the lives of many, whether that be through loss of income, loss of loved ones, inflation, skyrocketing home values, and increasing interest rates. And every day, our neighbors are making impossible choices between paying for housing and all of their other needs. Increasing the income limit, asset cap, and maximum assessed value for the income-based property tax credit are critical steps to ensuring that homeowners can afford to stay in their homes. The current income limit of $60,000 I don't think has been raised since 2009, and the asset value cap since 2016, meaning neither have been touched since the start of the pandemic. For homeowners, the inability to pay property taxes can cause the forced sale of their homes or the loss of their homes through tax sale. This leads to displacement, disruption of stability, and the destruction of generational wealth. High property taxes also make it difficult for lower-income families to enter homeownership. As an example, Habitat and many other lenders ensure that borrowers don't pay more than 30% of their income on housing. For Habitat, that includes principal, insurance, association dues, and property taxes. The higher portion of that 30% that's taken up by property taxes, the less families have for principal, for their mortgage. So for Habitat, that means that our subsidy per unit increases as we are forced to decrease the sales price so the property taxes can take up more and more of that 30%. This bill would make it easier for lower income families to enter homeownership by increasing the sales price they can afford. And this bill would actually directly affect many of the future buyers of the condo units at the Randolph Road project as well. And we certainly understand that property taxes are a critical source of income for many important services in our county, but we also appreciate the recognition that we must ensure that we're not jeopardizing homeownership for vulnerable residents and the stability and generational wealth building that comes with it. So thank you for your time today, and thank you to the council for their support of affordable housing.
Okay, thank you so much. Next, we have Neil Teplitz.
Hello. Neil Teplitz. I live in a small old 1,150 square foot house in downtown Bethesda. In 1987, my property tax was $1,090. Last year, it was $11,100, more than a tenfold increase. The reason it's gone up so much is twofold. One, developers have bid up the prices of small old houses walking distance to downtown Bethesda. Secondly, Montgomery County allows a 10% increase on the taxable assessment per year, which is much more than neighboring counties. In Baltimore City and Baltimore County, the maximum is just 4% a year. In Howard and Frederick counties, the maximum is just 5% a year. Anne Arundel County, just 2% a year. And Prince George's County, 3% a year. I had many, many years of the full 10% increase. It's impossible for someone to plan for retirement like this. And I have had several friends and neighbors who have had to sell their houses in my neighborhood because they could no longer afford in retirement these enormous property tax increases that we've received here in this neighborhood. My property taxes increased more than fourfold the national inflation rate over those 37 years. DC and Northern Virginia have far more sensible and well thought out senior property tax credit programs than anything that exists in Montgomery County. In DC, the sole criteria is your age, 65, and your adjusted gross income from a recent year has to be below a certain amount, and it's much higher than what is even being considered today. Similarly, in Northern Virginia, you can get between a 25 and even 100% senior property tax credit, depending on two criteria there. Your adjusted gross income as well as wealth levels. And I believe neither DC nor Northern Virginia is there any long-term ownership requirement like exists the 40-year requirement here. And even Prince George's County is just a 10-year ownership requirement. Howard County has a good program. After 30 years, you can get a tax credit for the first $650,000. And even if your assessment is higher than that, you still get it for the first $650,000. Something like that should be copied here, if not completely eliminating the cap, because it's people like me who have seen the highest increases. We're never going to be eligible because of the way things have been bid up here. Finally, I want to say when a similar bill was being considered almost exactly a year ago, one council member spoke out against it, saying, quote, "It would still disproportionately in a significant way benefit white homeowners, unquote. Has a racial equity analysis ever been done on the county's property tax itself? If not, why not? Homeowners in these same zip codes are the ones who are paying a disproportionate amount of the county property tax. All this would do was slightly decrease the level that we're being gouged. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing your feedback on this item. This public hearing is now closed. Next, we have a public hearing on Bill 6-25, Consumer Protection Defective Tenancies as Deceptive Trade Practices. This bill would expand the definition of person to include a landlord, clarify consumer goods and services include rental housing, remove the exemption for defective tenancies or complaints related to landlord-tenant matters, clarify the enforcement and penalties under Chapter 11 and Chapter 29, and generally amend county law related to consumer protection. A public safety work session is scheduled for March 17th, 2025. Those wishing to submit material for the council's consideration should do so by the close of business on March 10th, 2025. As a reminder of our public hearing testimony guidelines, your comments must be limited to issues relevant to the public hearing topic for which you are testifying and are appropriate for a public meeting. You will hear a tone when your time is up, and we appreciate everyone abiding by their allotted time. Our first group of folks testifying, we have Mr. Ken Hartman, Dr. Jeffrey Johnson, Chris Brew, Robert Prestock, and Nancy Edrad. Okay, Mr. Hartman, you can start when you're ready.
Thank you so much, Council President Stewart and members of the council. I'm here to testify. For the record, my name is Ken Hartman Espada. I'm Assistant Chief Administrative Officer for Montgomery County. I'm here to testify on behalf of the county executive regarding this bill. The county executive very much appreciates sponsor Councilmember Mink and co-sponsors President Stewart, Vice President Joando, and Councilmember Lukey. We really appreciate the way this bill was drafted in partnership with the executive branch and with our departments. Bill 625 makes it clear to a fact we all know. Renters are consumers, and like purchasers of cars, home improvements, and gym memberships, they should benefit from the same protections. Consumer protection laws are designed to ensure fair and equitable treatment. Our current law ignores the reality that renters are consumers. They deserve the protection against unfair practices, deceptive agreements, and unsafe living conditions. This bill will help ensure landlords maintain properties in habitable condition, including making the necessary repairs, ensuring safe living environments, and complying with health and safety codes. It will help us regulate lease agreements, ensuring that terms are clear, fair, and not biased against the renter. Yesterday at the PHP committee, a question was asked, what can we do to ensure our renters are protected? Well, this bill simply removing the exemption that the current consumer protection law has for Chapter 28 will enable the Office of Consumer Protection and the county attorney to take landlords who have consistently not abided by Chapter 29 to the circuit court to seek injunctions and damages. DHCA currently is only able to access the district court through the citation process, which usually results in significant reductions to the original fines. The executive respectfully asks the council to support this bill. His administration looks forward to continuing work with the sponsors and the committee throughout the council process to enact this fundamental protection for renters as consumers of housing and to further promote fairness, stability, and safety in the rental market. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Hartman. Now we have Dr. Jeffrey Johnson.
Council President and members of the County Council, thank you for this opportunity. I am the county chair for the Community Action Board, and the Montgomery County Community Action Board, the county's local, state, and federally designated anti-poverty group, is in support of County Council Bill 6-25, which will allow renters to seek remedies for defective rental properties under the Consumer Protection Law. As advocates for the economic disadvantaged and marginalized communities, our board continues to support tenants' rights and policies that remove barriers to safe and affordable housing. In Montgomery County, around 62% of renters earning less than $50,000 annually spend over half of their income on housing, indicating a severe housing cost burden. In addition to the lack of affordable housing in the county, renters also face challenges addressing maintenance and facilities issues in their rental properties. In one example, a board member shared a county resident with 2 young children reported to her landlord that the refrigerator and stove stopped working in her apartment. When neither appliance was fixed, she decided to withhold her rent. She later had to pay back rent even though the issues were never addressed. In the end, this resident had to vacate the property or face eviction. Bill 625 would offer another avenue for renters in similar, far too common situations to have these types of issues addressed. With our own community action agency, for which our board is the governing body, staff report that it is common practice that landlords to simply let a lease expire if the tenant has expressed concerns about health and safety in the building. Instead of addressing these issues directly, marginalized members of our community, including undocumented residents, refugees, asylees, residents with disabilities, and families with modest incomes are especially at risk for such unfair practices. This bill would offer another option for renters facing unsafe housing situations to have their concerns addressed. The Community Action Board strongly supports the County Council Bill 6-25. We ask the County Council to vote in favor of this bill and continue to explore policies that will lead to more stable, safe, and affordable housing options for residents. Thank you.
Mr. Brew.
Good afternoon, President Stewart and members of the council. My name is Chris Brew. I'm a Democrat and a resident of the county for the past 61 years. I'm also CEO of the Donahoe Companies, a 141-year-old business headquartered here in Montgomery County. Bill 625 is a solution in search of a problem. In my view, you're legislating for the 2% bad actors at the expense of the 98% reputable landlords. This legislation is duplicative as our state and county already have laws, restrictions, codified procedures, and requirements that protects tenants from bad landlords. Remedies include the State Tenant Safety Act that took effect last October, which allows tenants to file class action lawsuits against their landlord for defective tenancies, and tenants can sue for damages. The county's DHCA 40-person code enforcement team can use its authority to enforce housing code violations, including troubled at-risk properties, which prevent landlords from raising rents. The county's OLTA can issue decisions in order to have the full force of law. These consumer protections already exist in state law, which the Attorney General has used to go after many bad actors. Just in 3 short years, Montgomery County has gone from one of the most desirable multifamily markets for investment in the nation to one of the worst, thanks in part to rent control, vacancy control, and a never-ending slew of unnecessary regulations like this one. For those in the multifamily space, it feels like death by 1,000 cuts. Let me explain to you how a developer finances a new build 200-unit project. Cost is $100 million. We take out a 60% loan, which means we have to raise 40% or $40 million in cash. A typical developer only puts up 5 to 10% of this equity. So I need to raise $35 million. I do that by pitching the project to institutions, life companies, and pension funds. They have zero interest in investing in Montgomery County. They have essentially redlined us. Your brand, Montgomery County, is in serious trouble when your housing policies are criticized nationally by the Wall Street Journal and at national real estate investment conferences, where we've been signaled out as the only DC submarket to avoid. Because we cannot attract capital, new starts are at an all-time low. When we aren't building market rate housing, we aren't building NPDUs. This is a very dire situation for our housing supply. Of course, there's a snowball effect to past policy decisions. Reduced interest in Montgomery County results in fewer buyers, fewer investors, and reduced property valuations, and ultimately tax collections. Eventually, refinancing risk when borrowers may choose to hand back the keys. This housing crisis, now coupled with federal and contractor job losses and a significant reduction in federal space, is setting us up for a local recession. I have 2 suggestions to reattract investment in Montgomery County and stimulate new market rate supply. However, I'm about out of time, so please see my written testimony. I urge you not to pass this unnecessary and duplicative legislation, and thank you for your consideration.
Thank you. Mr. Pasternak. Can you turn on your mic? Sorry.
Thank you for the opportunity to speak with you this afternoon. I am Robert Pestronk, a renter. I wish to make 2 requests for inclusion in Bill 625. Both concern transparency, both bear on potential eviction. The first addresses lease language. The second addresses the availability of utility cost and utility fee documentation and the ability of renters to calculate and determine the basis for their individual utility bills and utility fees. First, lease language should be plain spoken. On their face, lease terms should be compliant with local, county, state, and federal law. A lease term stating that if another lease term is against a local, state, or federal law, it will not prevail is a legal and administrative efficiency for a landlord with properties in multiple jurisdictions. It allows a landlord to include the most landlord-favorable language for a state in which they own property in all of their leases, but it encourages a tenant in another jurisdiction to believe that those illegal terms apply. The rights and responsibilities of tenants and landlords should not be hidden behind such language. Tenants should not have to bear the time and dollar cost of legal research or of an attorney for an interpretation of the lease or law. Tenants should not have to believe legally non-compliant terms prevail. My current proposed lease clearly has terms that are not compliant with the law. One example concerns eviction in the case of building renovation during lease term. There are others. Second, transparency should be required in utility billings and utility fees. Current county regulations cap a water fee at $1, and under current regulations, landlords must respond to a resident request to view the underlying gross water bills and be provided with common area deductions to calculate how the county's ratio utility billing system formula is used to calculate the individual apartment charge. However, now there is no limit on fees for other utilities, and there is no requirement for landlords to share how third parties or landlords calculate or allocate these fees to an individual renter. As a result, the details for RUB's formula calculation are not transparent. Neither landlords nor third-party billers are required to provide or display data for gas, electricity, or other utility calculations. No common area deductions must be displayed. These bills are an increasingly expensive component of monthly rent. Their calculations should be transparent. Failure to pay them can lead to eviction. In summary, lease terms should comply with county regulations and Maryland law. Access to the details for all utility and fee billings should be required. Thanks for considering these requests for transparency.
Thank you. Next, we have Miss Nancy Andrade.
Estimados concejales y personas presentes en esta sala, tengan todos muy buenas tardes. Mi nombre es Nancy Andrade, actualmente vivo en los apartamentos No West Park, una propiedad de Key Apartment. Estoy aquí porque creo que este proyecto de ley es justo y necesario para los inquilinos.
Good afternoon, my name is Nancy Andrade, and I live in Northwest Park, a property managed by K Apartments. I am here because I believe this bill is necessary and fair for tenants in the county.
Los habitantes de la comunidad del condado de Montgomery actualmente viven en condiciones no adecuadas para una dignidad humana segura, tomando en cuenta que los propietarios no asumen sus responsabilidades correspondientes.
In Montgomery County, tenants live in poor conditions because landlords do not fix the problems in their properties, and it seems like the county has no way to force them to comply with the rules. And this is not just happening in my neighborhood, it's a reality in many apartment buildings across the county.
Para resolver los problemas que afectan directamente a los habitantes de la comunidad, dado que el condado no tiene las leyes suficientes para hacerlos ejercer sus responsabilidades, y esto actualmente pasa en muchas comunidades del condado.
I repeat what I just said just a second ago, and this is not just happening in my neighborhood, it is a reality in many apartments buildings across the county.
Al darme cuenta que otros inquilinos, al igual que yo, no estamos protegidos por las mismas leyes que otros consumidores, me parece increíble y con poco sentido, que los excluya de exigir por el servicio que pagamos.
When I found out that tenants are not protected under the same laws as other consumers, I was shocked. It makes no sense that we are excluded from demanding the services we pay for.
Al comparar los apartamentos que promocionan en los sitios web con la realidad en la que vivimos, los inquilinos del condado de Montgomery es engañosa y preocupante.
If we compare the apartments advertised on property websites to the reality that tenants in Montgomery County are living in, the difference is huge and alarming.
En nuestros apartamentos el mayor problema es la humedad, el moho, sumado a esto las plagas de ratones, cucarachas, cucarrones.
In my neighborhood, the biggest problems are humidity and mold, along with infestations of roaches and other pests.
Hace un par de años tuve una infectación de cucarachas y el equipo de mantenimiento solo utilizó material adhesivo para erradicar la plaga de ratones, la cual no funcionó y me dio a la tarea de comprar pesticidas más efectivos.
A couple of years ago, when I had an infestation, maintenance only set a few traps. I had to buy poison, wake up multiple times every night to spray it, replace my kitchen utensils, and clean every single corner to get rid of them.
Que los que ellos proporcionan. Trabajo que tuve que realizar día a día para acabar con estas plagas. Esto me llevó a cambiar utensilios de cocina y hacer una limpieza más exhaustiva para terminarlos.
I'm going to repeat once again. Once again, I had to buy poison, wake up multiple times every night to spray it, replace my kitchen utensils, and clean every corner to get rid of them.
En diciembre pasado, los roedores se esparcieron significativamente en mi apartamento, causando problemas más graves en lugares poco accesibles, y esto provocó olores y pestes dañinas para la salud.
Last December, a rat died inside a bathroom cabinet that I couldn't open. When I reported it to the leasing office, they told me that the only solution was to replace the cabinet, but they didn't have any available and couldn't do anything about it.
Sin tomar en cuenta que hay niños menores de edad.
Without taking into consideration that there are kids in our home.
Y esto ha persistido durante 3 meses consecutivos y aún no hay solución para mi problema.
And this has continued for the past 3 months and there's still no solution for my family.
Poniendo en riesgo la salud de mi familia.
Putting at risk the health of my family.
Y la respuesta de ellos cuando hice de su conocimiento de mi problema fue que no tienen material y están desabastecidos para solucionar mi problema.
And when I ask for help, their answer is that they don't have the sufficient materials to fix the problem.
Y tenía que esperar para solucionar mi problema y que hasta este momento aún no se ha resuelto.
And that I had to wait to get this resolved, and until this day, nothing has been taken care of.
Es una obligación y un compromiso de los propietarios dar un buen servicio de mantenimiento a nuestros apartamentos. En cambio, estamos desprotegidos y vulnerables.
I don't think I'm asking for anything unfair. It's the responsibility on landlords to provide a solution to our requests.
Tomando acción propia para solucionar los problemas de su responsabilidad, hemos hecho peticiones hasta el cansancio para que tomen parte de este problema.
I continue to request help for them to take care of this issue, and I have not received the help that I need.
Es por eso que apoyo esta iniciativa de ley que alcanzará para todos el beneficio de los consumidores, y le pido de la manera más amable y justa tomar en cuenta la aprobación de esta ley que le permite al condado hacer cumplir a los propietarios con las normas y de los consumidores.
And that is why I support this bill, and I ask you to support it as well. It is time for the county to do more to ensure that landlords follow the law so that we can live in decent conditions. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you for the testimony from the first panel. Now I'd like to call down others who are here in person. Surjine Yango, Tonia Chestnut, Leon Diange, Derek Tomenko, Monica Roberts, Sharon Litton-John. Surjine Yango can start when you're ready.
Good afternoon, members of the Montgomery County Council. My name is Sergi Nyengo, and I am a member of the Enclave Tenant Association, where I have lived for 15 years, and I am a member of Action in Montgomery. On behalf of Action in Montgomery, I am testifying today in support of Bill 625. What used to be a luxury apartment has deteriorated. In the summer of 2023, I knock door by door and hear from my neighbors that they share the same maintenance challenges that I have. Air conditioner units that do not work in the summer, causing leaks and damaging the apartment. Toxic mold, which you can read about in the news. A man in hazmat suit opened a ceiling panel and it rained dead mice, just piles of them. Imagine for how many years did they neglect the issue for it to get so bad. Tenant at rental property throughout Montgomery County, Cider Mill Apartment in Montgomery Village, West Chester West Apartment on Haywood Avenue, and Northwest Park Apartment in Silver Spring are facing the same challenges. As middle and low-income families, we have been left behind with soaring rent and utility bills. Why not receiving the level of service we are paying for? We are often told call 311 and report the issue to code enforcement. In the summer of 2023, when we meet with the Department of Housing and Community Affairs, we heard that there has been over 2,958 code violations. We support this Bill 625 because it gives our county another tool to address the failure of negligent lenders. It recognizes that renting unit is a business where a service is provided and the tenant pays for that service through rent and other fees. And as a consumer of that service, we should be able to benefit from the consumer protection laws. Our council members must stand with us and support this bill to ensure that we are treated fairly and with the respect we deserve. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Now we have Tania Chestnut.
Council, I'd like to thank you for giving me this opportunity. Once again, my name is Tania Chestnut. I'm the president of Progressive Maryland's Enclave Tenant Association. I will be speaking on 3 apartment complexes today. First complex is Spring Park Apartments in Silver Spring. They have issues concerning mice, mold, roaches. They have condemned apartments that people still live in. They also have their management that calls authorities on their tenants for just coming into the office to report issues. I'm gonna move on to Coatesville Tower Apartments, which they have issues with the fitness center, but they have many broken machines. They have issues with getting control to access to their garage, what stays open all the time. That's to the garage. The intercom system doesn't work. Just last week, they completed 21 days without gas. They had no hot water. They didn't have any heat. They had issues cooking. I'm not sure if you heard about that. Now we're going to get to the enclave. Broken elevators we have had for the longest type of time. Rats run across your feet when you're trying to walk to the building, from the building, you standing outside talking to your friends. Infestation of roaches. We have mold, potholes in the parking lot, issues with our fitness center as well. We're supposed to have computers that we're supposed to be able to have access to. We do not. I could keep on going, but I'll be here all day long. So I'll let you know we are here. We're here standing together as tenants. We are speaking together and coming together for all these 3 locations, and letting you know that it is unfair for people to pay their rent and stay and live in these type of conditions. We are in favor of this bill. Thank you for giving me a chance to speak.
Thank you. Now we have Leon Diangri.
For the record, my name is Leon. Sorry. Thank you. For the record, my name is Leon. So I'm here testifying on behalf of HIP. And to begin with, about HIP, Housing Initiative Partnership develop innovative, affordable housing, revitalizing neighbors, equips people to achieve their housing and financial goals. Our vision is that every single person live in a high affordable housing and a thriving community. We maintain offices in Hyattsville, Prince George County, and Germantown and Gettysburg in Montgomery County. I am in support of Bill 625 because I'm at court every Wednesday and Fridays. I cannot tell you how many countless tenants coming complaining, thinking like they can hold their rent to make the landlord to comply, to help them basically do what they paid for, but still. So many renters face tremendous challenges that are unfair, deceived trade practices by landlord in Montgomery County. As I told you, I'm every single week, I'm twice at the court. Landlords promise great amenities, services, get renters to the door, signing leases. Renters moved in, find out that bathroom fixtures, dishwashers, other major appliances do not work. They experience terrible conditions such as rats, infestation, falling ceilings. Just tell me who on us will buy a product which is not working and you are forced to live with it. What you do first is just return it and ask for your money back. Now, we do urge to report this violence, this violation in Montgomery County. We urge them to report this violation in the Montgomery County Tenant and Landlord Affairs. But it will be helpful to create an additional penalties for a landlord as laid out as this bill, which will hopefully deter landlords from leasing units which are with these problems. Over the past 20 years, HIP staff have helped over 40,000 renters and landlords struggling and homeowners struggling with housing costs. We support this bill to increase protection to help renters to secure adequate and safe rental units in this county. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Derek Tomenko.
Thank you so much. My name is Derek Tomenko. I'm here to testify to oppose this bill. While Bill 625 is being promoted as the way to hold landlords accountable, it unfairly targets small independent landlords and could lead to serious unintended consequences for Montgomery County rentals market. This legislation disproportionately harms mom-and-pop landlords, discourages middle-class investments in rental housing, and worsens housing affordability by increasing cost and reducing rental supply. Many of rental housing in Montgomery County is provided by small independent landlords. They own just a handful of properties. They personally manage their properties, handling repairs, tenant relationship, and finances themselves. They often and always offer flexible, affordable housing options. By removing the landlord exemption from the consumer protection laws, the county will lump small landlords with the large corporations, subjecting them to legal and financial burdens they're simply unequipped to handle. Large landlords have legal teams and compliance departments, while small landlords operate on thin margins and do not have the same resources to navigate complex legal challenges. One of the biggest problems with this legislation is that being proposed without giving a fair weight to the voice of small or any landlords, especially small landlords. Tenants vastly outnumber landlords. In these policy discussions, renters are often the loudest voices simply because they are the majority. While tenants deserve protections, landlords also have rights, and their concerns should be heard. Unlike large real estate corporations that can influence policies, middle-class landlords who own a handful of rentals have no organized voice to push back against harmful legislation. This bill assumes that all landlords act in bad faith, ignoring the fact that many landlords are fair, responsible, and provide much-needed housing. For many middle-class Montgomery County residents, investment in real estate property is a way to build financial security while providing much-needed housing to the community. However, this bill sends a clear message. If you invest in the real estate market in Montgomery County, you will be treated as a merchant rather than property owner. If a tenant files a complaint, even in bad faith, you could face legal actions and fines. If the government decides that your practice is untransparent enough, you could be penalized. Why would any middle-class resident to take risk of becoming a landlord in these conditions? This bill dissuades small-scale rental investments and ensures that only large corporations, if they actually can do it, as we heard from the earlier testimony, ultimately making rental housing less diverse, less affordable, and less flexible. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Monica Roberts.
Honorable Chair Stewart and members of the Montgomery County Council, I am Monica Roberts, President of 500 Forever, the retiree committee for SEIU Local 500. I am a retiree of Montgomery County Public Schools, and I am here today to urge you to support Bill 6-25, Consumer Protection, Defective Tenancies as Deceptive Trade Practices. As a retiree on a fixed income and a renter in Montgomery County, I have firsthand experience with the vulnerabilities tenants face when landlords fail to maintain safe and habitable housing. For those of us living on fixed incomes, rent is often our single largest expense, and we have little financial flexibility to deal with unexpected costs resulting from landlord negligence. In my own experience, I have encountered issues such as pest infestation of mice with numerous calls to the rental office for support. It took them 2 months to clear up the mice. Leaks from an apartment above me, which resulted in a caved-in ceiling, which needed to be, of course, repaired in my apartment, the floor above me, and the floor in my apartment, which was destroyed. And then my apartment was not ready for me to move in when I rented it. So I took pictures to send to the rental office for them to fix it. Some of those things that we're unprepared for have still not been fixed. And this winter, the heat not working properly, and it was cold. Despite repeated requests for repairs, my concerns were often ignored or met with temporary, inadequate fixes. Under the current system, tenants facing these issues have limited options for recourse. Many landlords exploit loopholes, delay necessary repairs, dismiss tenant complaints without fear of consequences. Bill 6-25 is necessary to own an overdue step toward closing these gaps by ensuring that deceptive and unfair rental practices are recognized as violations of consumer protection laws. By expanding enforcement authority and holding landlords accountable under Chapters 11 and 29, this bill would provide renters like me with stronger protections against housing conditions that threaten our well-being. The cost of inaction is high. Unresolved maintenance issues can escalate to serious health and safety risks. Tenants, particularly older adults with those with limited incomes, are disproportionately affected by housing instability and financial burdens caused by unscrupulous rental practices. We need a legal framework that prevents landlords from treating defective tenancies as a mere cost of doing business. I urge the Council to pass Bill 6-25 and ensure the renters have protections they deserve. Thank you for your time and commitment to improving tenant rights in Montgomery County.
Thank you. Next is Sharon Litton-John.
Good afternoon, President Stewart and esteemed members of the Montgomery County Council. My name is Sharon Littlejohn. I'm a senior, I'm a renter, and I'm the president of the Tenant Association in my senior community. In Gaithersburg, sorry. It is an honor to speak today as a CASA member on behalf of the organization. Across Montgomery County, countless residents never anticipate that the community they have chosen to call home will devolve into a place that is marked by fear, negligence, and ultimately loss. Imagine living in a home plagued by rodents and insect infestation, mold creeping through AC vents, unaddressed leaks, and a lack of security so severe that even basic safety is out of reach. Now, imagine the frustration of exhausting every avenue, working with management, the county, and the code enforcement, only to be met with stark reality that these responsible cannot be held accountable despite numerous violations and fines. This is everyday experience for residents in multiple communities throughout Montgomery County. When residents have nowhere to turn, many are forced to leave, feeling violated not just as renters but as consumers. After years of seeking meaningful solutions to hold irresponsible landlords accountable, we finally have a mechanism that could make a real difference. CASA wholeheartedly supports the Consumer Protection Act, which would empower Montgomery County's Office of Consumer Protection and the County Attorney's Office to hold landlords accountable for repeatedly violating tenants' rights. To those who seek to build housing in our communities, we say this: we welcome your efforts to provide homes for all, but not at the expense of our families, our safety, and our health. This is about people. This is about dignity. Most importantly, this is about holding those who feel us accountable. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you to everyone who is here to testify in person. We'll now go to those who are virtual, and we have Konstantina Tomenko. Mr. Tomenko, you can start whenever you're ready.
No, I wasn't prepared. Well, I'm sorry, I lost my text.
Okay, take your time.
Please proceed with somebody else now.
All right. I think we have Yuri Tomenko.
Yes. Can you hear me? Yep.
Yes.
Hello, my name is Yuri Tomenko. I'm a small landlord based in Tacoma Park, Maryland. As a small landlord, I need to be able to wear different hats. I need to be a salesperson, a repair tech, accountant, desk clerk, a secretary, and as of today, a housing activist, and whatever else unpredictable situation might throw at me. Among these hats, I need to make sure that I comply with current regulations. The number of regulations has dramatically increased since I started the business 20 years ago, and complying with them has become really difficult. The recently passed rent control law, combined with unreasonable code enforcement practices, made it increasingly difficult and more costly to run the business. Eventually, these costs get passed down to the consumers. However, if these costs cannot be passed to the consumers, the smaller landlords will have to sell out to the big corporations. Selling to the big corporations means less competition and eventually increase in housing costs. It used to be that complying with the paperwork used to take 10 to 15% of my time. At this point, it takes 40 to 60. Overall, in the past 20 years, I have not seen any legislative actions that would reduce the cost of running the rental business or help small landlords to be competitive, thus again contributing to the increase in housing costs. Bills like this Bill 625 will cause additional hardship. This bill does not contribute to improvement of the business environment, especially when it comes to small landlords. It will only contribute to bureaucracies and ultimately increase cost of housing. My plea is not to pass this bill and for to look into less regulation in the housing, repealing of rent control, standardizing, simplifying, and reducing housing code enforcement. Ultimately, the affordable high-quality housing comes through abundance of supply and competition. Increasing amount of regulations will never come close to solving these issues. Thank you.
Mr. Tomenko is still on, if you found your notes. I believe you're on mute, sir. Oh, maybe turn up your volume.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you now.
So yeah, I'm also very small property owner. I do establish a very warm relationship with my clients and make sure that they're really happy, because the most how I try to present it, just the real market, try to compete with others, makes me to work very hard and make sure that my tenants are really happy. And I do work very hard. I work full-time, other job, but this is my kind of part-time business. I work very hard to retain tenants and make sure that they're really satisfied. Just in the recent 5 years, my taxes went for like 40% more. I try to survive, and this thing will make my life more complicated. Even like last October, it was mentioned before, new regulations with affordable housing was enforced, implemented. I think everything was already done and explicitly spelled out in the previous law. So I'm opposing this bill. Thank you for listening to me.
Thank you. Thank you for your testimony this afternoon. Those are all members of the public who are here to testify today. Thank you for sharing your feedback on this item, and this public hearing is now closed. Next, we are moving on to our legislative session. This is day number 6. Agenda item 3, and it's the introduction of bills. The first bill for introduction is Expedited Bill 7-25, Common Ownership Communities Registration Fees. The lead sponsor is myself at the request of the county executive. A public hearing is scheduled for March 25th at 2025 at 1:30 p.m. Ms. Wellens, do you have anything to speak to on this?
I'm happy to provide a brief overview if you'd like, or answer questions, or just let it be introduced.
I'm not seeing any questions. Let's just roll, and this bill is introduced.
Sounds great. Thank you.
The second bill for introduction today is Expedited Bill 8-25, Landlord-Tenant Relations Fees. Lead sponsor is myself at the request of the county executive. A public hearing is scheduled for March 25th, 2025 at 1:30 p.m. Anything to add, Ms. Wellens, at this time? Nope, we're not seeing any questions from colleagues. This bill is introduced. All right, now we're going to move on to agenda item number 4, which is the call of bills for final reading, and we have Expedited Bill 29-24, Transportation Parking Permit for Specialized Service Providers. Established. The Transportation Environment Committee recommends enactment with amendments. Before I turn it over to the chair of T&E, and as our guests come up to the table, I just want to say, as the lead on the bill, I want to thank my colleagues for recognizing the need to assist our providers who work with the unhoused in the downtown Silver Spring area, and child care providers with assistance in parking as we face a great deal of disruption because of the Purple Line and Metropolitan Branch Trail construction. I also do want to say thank you to our Department of Transportation, especially Director Conklin, We really appreciate all the collaborative work that we've engaged in to find a solution to the situation. I know we'll walk through the bill in a moment, and it is structured a little differently than what we thought, but I believe we've come to a good place where we are achieving the goals we all wanted to achieve. It's been a long road. We have a lot of work with our partners on the ground, Shepherd's Table, and our frontline workers and volunteers. And even last week, we heard about the loss of volunteers at Shepherd's Table, even when we've seen a dramatic increase in those experiencing housing insecurity and hunger. So I think as we move forward with this, again, I just want to thank the Department of Transportation and thank enormously the work of Ms. McCartney Green on this bill as we, again, kept the goal in front of us, but shifted the direction and the approach on this. And thank you for all your work. And I will turn it over to Chair Glass.
Thank you very much, Madam President. Appreciate your leadership on addressing this much-needed issue. And so expedited Bill 2924 came before the T&E Committee and, as just outlined, would establish a parking permit for social service providers, namely, as originally intended in downtown Silver Spring, but the T&E Committee adopted a number of amendments that I'll walk us through right now. First, there were amendments offered by MCDOT that the committee unanimously adopted. First of those were to provide 3 categories of organizations that will be able to apply for the reduced parking. That would be Department of Health and Human Services, specialized social service providers, and qualified child care centers. The legislation, as amended, would also set a maximum cap on the number of parking permits issued by the Department of Transportation. And then the committee unanimously accepted an amendment recommendation from Council Members Fani Gonzalez and Friedson to expand the program beyond downtown Silver Spring to include Wheaton and Bethesda Central Business Districts. Also, last amendment that was adopted by the committee would establish a Method 2 regulation for the department to administer this program. That was a split 2-to-1 committee decision, split between a Method 2 regulation and a Method 1 regulation. And then finally, the committee also reserved discussion for full council as to whether or not there should be a sunset provision. And with that, I'll yield back.
Thank you very much. Ms. McCartney Green, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, Council President, and thank you, Chair Glass, for giving the synopsis of all the amendments. I do want to note, since committee to now, after merging both MCDOT amendments and what was introduced, one of the discussions that happened at T&E was what would be provided in the regulations under the Method 2. And we discussed that the cap could be modified by MCDOT if needed. Council staff in consultation with OCA went back through that and looked and realized that there would be a legal impediment in terms of superseding the law if we allowed DOT to do that. And so what's in before you right now actually removes that. So there's a cap in the law, but there is no ability for MCDOT to modify that via regulations just because that would conflict with what's going to be reviewed and adopted today. Other than that, there's initial parking rate that's established in law as well. That's $10 per space, which we've also discussed in T&E committee that could be amended by council resolution, usually through the budget process as well. Other than that, just for the discussion for today is the sunset provision and whether or not wanted to have that remain in the legislation and keep that. The sunset provision specifically says that it allows it to remain for this law to remain into effect until December 2032 or 5 years after the purple line opens for revenue service, whichever is first. I believe the impetus of it was front-facing businesses in Silver Spring were impacted on parking, and so that provided that provision. We had that in introduction, so the question is now expanding the bill to include Bethesda and Wheaton, and does that also apply there as well? So I'll stop there just for discussion.
Before I turn it back to Chair Glass, Director Conklin, would you like to say anything?
Sure. A few things. Thank you to the committee for working with us on amendments to this bill. I think we had a very productive discussion on how to get a program that's workable and easily administratable. I don't think that's a word, and can work for the providers in both of these communities, both in child care and special service providers serving the homeless. Just a couple clarifications. One, the bill does not provide for county employee parking, which is a very complicated matter that different employees in different departments in different locations have different parking provisions, and we didn't want to specify one in law here. So this applies to volunteers and other service providers serving county needs at these locations, and also to the child care providers, and that's consistent with what's in the revised law before you, a little different than some of the summary information. I also just wanted to mention that we appreciate the work on this and retaining revenue associated with these parking permits. As all of you know, the parking lot districts are enterprise funds and must fund their own operation and maintenance costs, and we need to continue the revenue streams that support that. And the bill that's before you does retain revenue associated with these parking provisions, so that's useful that we're not providing free parking for any particular community here. And I, again, just thank you to Ms. McCartney Green and to the committee for their hard work on this bill. And the county executive does support this measure and has been asking the department to come up with solutions, and this legislative action provides the vehicle for developing that solution.
Thank you. Chair Lass?
Thank you, Madam President. Again, appreciate our staff and DOT for working with the committee through this. And I know it wasn't a straight path from hearing from the social service providers and the volunteers in the community to where we are now. Want to share with colleagues the thought that I had when I made a recommendation at the committee to eliminate the sunset. The thinking was, as originally intended, the legislation was for downtown Silver Spring in recognition of the Purple Line problems, and very much appreciate the district Councilmember Stewart, for identifying that and having that written into the law. When the committee then expanded the scope of the program to include downtown Wheaton and downtown Bethesda, in my opinion, it changed the scope of the program. And because it wasn't directly tied to the Purple Line anymore, but as I viewed it and still view it, this is an ongoing issue where we have social service providers who we know are not getting compensated at levels that other workers are, that they do some of the toughest work day in and day out throughout our community, and particularly these communities, and the economic challenges that they are experiencing, which is ultimately why this legislation was introduced, to alleviate those economic challenges so that they could pay for parking. That is not going away when the Purple Line comes in or when 2032 arrives, whichever may come first. And so for that reason, I made the recommendation that we eliminate the sunset and open to the conversation that we have here.
Thank you. Now I have Councilmember Friedson.
Thank you, Madam President. Thank you to the T&E committee. Really appreciate your thoughtfulness and appreciate the opportunity to join the conversation at the committee, and do appreciate the expansion but targeted nature of the way in which this bill proceeded. It was more targeted in the expansion than what was originally proposed, but I think ultimately landed in a very good place. I will also thank the department for your work in trying to maneuver and navigate the competing dynamics of a parking lot district, an imperfect way to fund parking garages and public infrastructure, something that is becoming a theme around here, with the interest in trying to address these acute challenges. I'll note, as I did during the committee, there are a lot of Purple Line related issues in Bethesda, and there also are similar social service dynamics as well. Certainly appreciate the work and the expansion. I'll say, if anybody can make something administratable, I think that Director Conklin can, and really appreciate all of your work and your navigation, and appreciate Ms. McCartney Green as well. I'll just say, from my perspective, after hearing the committee's discussion, I do think having the sunset provision makes sense. I understand what the chair is noting in his words, but I think there's an argument that we should sunset all of our revenue-related legislation, or at least consider that. I think there's an opportunity after 5 years for us to assess and take a look, determine what the impacts are, whether we should revisit that. I don't think that's an unhealthy thing for us and a future council to do, and so I would be supportive of moving forward with the committee recommendation and really appreciate the work that was done and think that where things landed, including with the sunset, makes a lot of sense. So appreciate it, and I'll yield back.
Councilmember Malcolm?
Thank you. Thank you to everyone who worked very hard on this bill. And of course, I support the legislation. I co-sponsored the legislation. And so there's no disagreement about how valuable this is and how important it is for our providers. I mean, there's a burden for them to do the work that we ask them to do and that they willingly do. So, of course, I support that. I guess the question of the sunset, for me, as originally presented, it was an issue of the Purple Line construction. When we expanded it to the other districts, the other areas appropriately, the question is whether that made sense or not. I support the sunset for two reasons. One is that I still think that the Purple Line will have a major impact on traffic patterns, which is the whole point of the Purple Line, is to have an impact on the traffic. So it's not a bad idea to look at, and that may or may not change the need for parking spaces in Silver Spring and maybe in Bethesda. So I think that's important. But I also think in general, I tend to think it makes sense to look at sunset provisions on a new bill, a bill like this that may have unintended consequences. And this body, we haven't had a discussion about sunsets and whether that's something that we should look at in more bills. There are often unintended consequences or various ways to improve legislation. And of course, any council can look at any bill at any time, any legislation at any bill at any time to change it, improve it, delete it. But I think having a sunset is a good way to have the body look at whether a bill is still effective, still does what it wants to do, and to make sure that doesn't fall through the cracks. So, 10 years, 20 years, 50 years from now, we have all these bills on the books, and we don't even know where they came from. So I think it's a matter of good government to look at sunsets, but in this specific bill, it's brand new, and I think that a lot is going to change in the next 5 years that will impact this. So I support a sunset. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Lukey.
Thank you, Madam President. And thank you to all who have spoken thus far on this. And I too, if you look at I support a 5-year sunset as proposed without reference to the Purple Line, because I don't think we need to reference the Purple Line project in the bill. But also as a built-in housekeeping measure, and there, if we should extend it later, it is an easy fix to extend and amend to just correct a date on that, or to remove the sunset provision altogether if we decide we want to make it permanent. We know we have a high demands and high needs in our service provider continuum right now, and things are challenging. And we also know we're in an epically weird period. I'm just going to put it at that. And so I do think that it's good for us to have that 5-year mechanism in place. We can all calendar it, and we can all circle back and see where we are later, and figure out what we should or shouldn't be doing, or what adjustments might need to be made moving forward. And we will have learned some lessons by then. Thank you.
Thank you. Just checking back with Councilmember Glass. Did you want to make a movement for an amendment, or?
Well, I'm reading the room, so I'll go along with the consensus.
Okay. And I just wanted to check one other thing before turning to Councilmember Malcolm. Can we just double check what the language is of the sunset to make sure that we're all on the same page, since there were so many changes made?
You can read it into the record.
Yeah.
And it's specifically on circle page 8, line 160 to 162, and it says, "This act must sunset and must have no further force or effect at the end of December 31st, 2032, or 5 years after the Maryland Transit Administration opens the Purple Line for revenue service, whichever is first.
Yeah.
So I'd like to move to strike the or, from the or to the period at the end of what was just read into the record.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Councilmember Malcolm seconds. I'm going to jump in and speak to it first. I very much appreciate it, and I would like it to be nice and clean December 2032, but having lived through the Purple Line the last few years, we put this in specifically to make sure that there was language, because the community has seen so many fits and starts to this project, and it is, I have hope, all the hope in the world that we are going to see that Purple Line open, but and 2032 is going to be a good date, but given, as Councilmember Lukey, you just said, we are in very uncharted territory right now in our county, in the state, and in our country. And so I would ask my colleagues to keep the language in here about the Purple Line. Not seeing any other speakers. All those in favor of the amendment, please raise your hand.
Yeah, so you, my amendment strikes the language with respect to the Purple Line because the bill was expanded to include other sites that aren't necessarily as directly tied to the Purple Line. And I certainly appreciate what you're saying.
Right.
But, yeah.
So, all right. We got a couple people.
Councilmember Friedson for the assist. Go ahead.
All right.
Yeah, well, are you yielding to me?
Well, we did have Councilmember Balcom, so do you want?
I'll wield it.
So, yeah, sorry, too many buttons around here. So I'm going to defer to the council, to the council president and district rep, whose district this is, in terms of. So I'm going to take back my second, and because I think that that's a really valid point that I didn't consider. Thank you.
All right, so we have a rescinding of a second. Councilmember Friedson.
Yeah, I just want to know, it's whichever is first, just to be clear.
Whichever is first.
It's not whichever is later. So
says.
if the Purple Line extends beyond the natural life, 2032 will be the hard and fast. So in some ways, this is a distinction without much of a difference. The question is there a sunset or is there not a sunset? And that's up to the body. But I just think there is a difference between whichever is later and whichever is first. The current language says whichever is first, just to be clear.
So it is a difference without a distinction.
So that would mean, in effect, if the Purple Line comes online much faster than anyone would anticipate, then it would sunset.
Yeah.
Yes.
Madam President.
Okay.
Yes, Councilman.
If I could just add the state, and I'll defer to Director Conklin, the mid-year of 2027 is when the Purple Line is slated to open. Emphasis on slated, but mid-2027.
Correct.
But it's whatever is first.
So it's whatever is first. So, right. But it's 5 years after, oh my gosh, it's 5 years after the Purple Line opens for revenue. So if it's slated.
Right. Or December 31st, 2032. So in the event that we can't get 5 years beyond the Purple Line opening, if it opens on November 1st, 2032, this will still sunset on December 31st, 2032. Does that make sense? Yes. Okay. All right. Then I withdraw my motion to strike the language.
Okay.
I'm going to make another motion that we do it as just discussed, and I think we're all on the same page.
Yeah, so there would be no amendment. I'm assuming you just.
Then it's fine
yes,
as in the paper. Okay, good.
Correct. So it's the committee, no motion needed, it's committee recommendation.
Let's vote.
Councilmember Katz, do you know me?
Thank you. You know, I thought I understood this till everybody explained it. So what is the date that this would actually sunset? Do we know a year that this would actually, because we have so many different ways we're saying this. Say it again?
We have an outer limit for this to apply, which is December 31st, 2032, period.
And if the Purple Line comes online, you said 2027, so it would be at 2027 it would be
No,
sunset?
because it's worded that it's 5 years after the purple
5
line
years
comes online.
after the purple line.
Correct.
comes on.
Which, if anticipated, which is saying it's anticipated to come online in December of
understand why we'd have to say
2027,
that.
would take you to December of 2032.
The purple line, I think, started when the Flintstones actually had their vehicles. So it's 5 years. It's either 5 years after the purple line comes on, or 2032.
Correct.
Okay. I think we need to say that a little clearer because it really was not clear to me. Thank you.
I know. I will apologize. I made it unclear. I will take responsibility.
No, I was going to blame Fleets.
No. No, it is my fault. The bill has gone through a number of revisions. My apologies to my colleagues. I think at the moment we're leaving the recommendation from the committee. Correct, everyone?
Correct. And,
All right.
and Council President, as you mentioned, the bill has gone through several revisions. I just want to be able to have the authority from the council to address any grammatical, stylistic, or technical changes that I identify for finalizing. And so just want to make sure I have that authority to do that as well.
Yes, absolutely, without objection. Thank you, Ms. McCartney Green. Please make any small edits, grammatical, that you need to. All right. I am not seeing anybody else in the queue. We have a recommendation from the Transportation and Environment Committee. This is a roll call vote. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilmember Lukey?
Yes.
Councilmember Lukey votes yes. Councilmember Mink?
Yes.
Councilmember Mink votes yes. Councilmember Sales? Councilmember Sales is absent. Councilmember Friesen?
Yes.
Councilmember Friesen votes yes. Councilmember Glass?
Yes.
Councilmember Glass votes yes. Councilmember Katz?
Yes.
Councilmember Katz votes yes. Councilmember Albanos?
Yes.
Councilmember Albanos votes yes. Councilmember Fanning Gonzalez?
Yes.
Councilmember Fanning Gonzalez votes yes. Councilmember Balcom?
Yes.
Councilmember Balcom votes yes. Councilmember Jawando? Yes. Councilmember Jawando votes yes. Councilmember Stewart?
Yes.
Councilmember Stewart votes yes.
Thank you very much. Thank you again, Ms. McCartney. Item next on our list is item number 5, and we have action on expedited bill 22-24, taxation, collection of development impact taxes. This bill was vetoed by the county executive on February 18th, 2025. The council is considering action to override the county executive's veto. The lead sponsor on this was Councilmember Glass. We had co-sponsors Lukey, Fanny Gonzalez, Katz, Albanaz, and then Councilmember Friesen. Ms. Nadeau, do you have any comments on this, or?
No comments other than noting that, of course, a veto will require 7 council members' approval, and also that there was no legal bar to the reasons raised in the county executive's veto memo, which is included in the staff report.
Great. Terrific. I will turn it over to Councilmember Glass now.
Thank you, Madam President. I also want to thank all of our colleagues for unanimously supporting this legislation when it was first before the council. If we want to reduce the cost of housing, we need to reduce the cost to build housing. That's what this legislation does. It reduces the cost to build housing without reducing the total amount of impact taxes collected for schools, roads, and infrastructure. It's that simple. Thank you.
All right, not seeing anyone in the queue. Is there a motion to approve expedited bill 22-24, override the county executive's veto? I have Councilmember Lukey motion, Councilmember Friesen second. Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Councilmember Lukey?
Yes.
Councilmember Lukey votes yes. Councilmember Mink?
Yes.
Councilmember Mink votes yes. Councilmember Sales? Councilmember Sales is absent. Councilmember Friesen?
Yes.
Councilmember Friesen votes yes. Councilmember Glass?
Yes.
Councilmember Glass votes yes. Councilmember Katz?
Yes.
Councilmember Katz votes yes. Councilmember Albanos?
Yes.
Councilmember Albanos votes yes. Councilmember Fanning Gonzalez?
Yes.
Councilmember Fanning Gonzalez votes yes. Councilmember Balcom?
Yes.
Councilmember Balcom votes yes. Councilmember Jawando?
Yes.
Councilmember Jawando votes yes. Councilmember Stewart?
Yes.
Councilmember Stewart votes yes.
All right, thank you very much. Next, we will now sit as the district council for the introduction of local map amendment LMA H-154 regarding the property located at 11900 Park Lawn Drive, Rockville, Maryland, further identified as Lot 6 in the North Bethesda Industrial Center subdivision as recorded at plat number 9530. Action on this item is tentatively scheduled for March 11th, 2025. Ms. Nadeau, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you. So this is introduction of a resolution from OZA on local map amendment H154. It's a property in Rockville being rezoned from EOF to ILF. Next week during action, you'll hear a report from the hearing examiner. No requests for oral argument were received for this local map amendment. So you'll just hear from the hearing examiner next week.
Terrific. All right. This local map amendment is introduced. Item number 7 is the consent calendar. I will entertain a motion to approve the consent calendar. Council Vice President Giwando, second by Council Member Friedson. All those in favor, please raise your hand. And I see everyone present, including Councilmember Mink online. I do want to note on item H, especially given that it's Women's History Month, that Lieutenant Estrada, who we just appointed to the Commission on Juvenile Justice, has been with Montgomery County Police Department since 2006 and was the first and only Latina to achieve the rank of sergeant and the rank of lieutenant. So thank you to Lieutenant Estrada. All right. Our next item now is interview with representatives on the nominating committee for the Montgomery College Board of Trustees. And they are joining us. As they join us, as background, members of the nominating committee for the Montgomery College Board of Trustees have the important task of influencing the direction of Montgomery County's crown jewel of post-secondary education by recommending candidates to the governor to serve on its Board of Trustees. The Montgomery College Board of Trustees is the institution's legal governing body. Today, we are interviewing 3 candidates for 2 vacancies on the nominating committee. Thank you, Dr. Kernisan, Dr. Ryan, and Mr. DiResta for being here today and volunteering to serve on this important committee. I have a few questions that I will first ask you, and then I will turn over to my colleagues to see if they have questions. So my first question is, please share your understanding of the nominating committee's primary function and the significance of its role in the appointment of Montgomery College Board of Trustee members. If appointed, how would you contribute to the overall governance and success of Montgomery College in this role? Dr. Kasarani, I got it right the first time. Would you please respond first?
There we go. The nominating committee for the Board of Trustees at Montgomery College has a really important job, making sure that the college leadership reflects our community, diversities, qualifications, and commitment to serving the students. This committee reviews applications and assesses candidates based on their expertise. The committee reviews applications and assesses committees based on their expertise, dedication to higher education, and how they align our mission before recommending them before being appointed by the governor. The role is critical because the Board of Trustees is responsible for setting the strategic direction for Montgomery College. They oversee policies, financial decisions, and institutional priorities that affect students, faculty, and the wider Montgomery County. By thoughtfully vetting and recommending candidates, the nominating committee helps ensure that the board stays strong, forward-thinking, and committed to excellence in education, workforce development, and student success. If I am chosen, I'll bring a genuine commitment to fairness, quality, and community involvement in the nominating committee. With a background in education, professional development, and leadership, I get how essential it is to pick Board of Trustees members who not just have the right skills, but also represent the varied perspectives of Montgomery College's students and the local community. I'll make sure we have a thorough and fair review process that focuses on candidates who can really govern the college, champion student success, and back strategic initiatives. Plus, I'm all about collaboration. So I'll work closely with other committee members to boost transparency, integrity of the nomination process, and making sure that the board is ready to lead Montgomery College into the future.
Thank you. Dr. Ryan?
First, we'll get trained. I want to thank you all for having me here today for this interview. The nominating committee will review resumes of potential candidates, assessing their skills,
experience to determine if they meet the qualifications for the position. And in reviewing these profiles, the committee will consider criteria that includes proven leadership, previous board experience, knowledge and experience in general, diversity including age, gender, ethnicity, race, disabilities, and geography. Experience with large and complex organizations is a must. Current or prior C-level or senior management level experience, again, is a must. Skill sets including finance, legal, auditing, government affairs, public relations, community experience, and knowledge of the organization, Montgomery College. The nominating committee, knowing the college board bylaws as stated by their long itemized rules and activities for board members, which by the way is 20 pages, will aid the committee in judging these candidates and making sure that their previous experience also facilitates them in being able to fulfill these bylaws. If selected, I would ensure that the highest caliber of trustee is presented to the governor. I believe my 30 years of business experience in the private and public sector make me uniquely qualified for this position. My professor position at Georgia State University will give me a knowledge base to draw from to aid Montgomery College. My patents in AI and product development of the first artificial intelligent radiologist, I think will help with the new technology that is facing the college, and the students want this kind of background and information. My role as a C-level executive with a $100 billion federal agency. My role as the chief of staff for the IBM CFO of the another $100 billion organization. And my role as a C-level executive in London all gave me a level of business acumen that will aid Montgomery College coming into the future. My governance roles, my board roles at a university and several commercial companies in the U.S. and the EU will aid the nominating committee achieve more if I am chosen. My roles in nonprofits here in Montgomery County enhanced my knowledge of the residents in Montgomery County, which will enable me to contribute more to Montgomery College. As a VP of the Greater Colesville Citizens Association, which represents 3,500 households here in Montgomery County, I have listened to issues from these households for 10 years about college education accessibility, and the 10 years working with this nonprofit lets me add this knowledge to my base in order to help the nominating committee and the Montgomery County College. As a former special ed teacher in my 20s, I am aware of the issues facing special ed students to go to college in general. We need to be sure board members are cognizant of all these unique groups within the county that want to go to college and facilitate how they will be able to do so. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Mr. DeResta?
Well, that was very humbling, listening to that. I come at this a little differently. I come at this first as a parent. I have 3 kids in MCPS. Well, I had 3 kids in MCPS. I now have 1 in college, 1 on the way, and 1 hopefully on their way in 3 years. I also come from it from a little bit different perspective. My day job is I'm an opposition researcher, meaning for the past 30 years I have spent evaluating the credentials of people running for higher office. That goes all the way up to president, down to city council and governor. So I have learned how to review the backgrounds of individuals. It also gives me the insight and the understanding of how important it is to have discretion. In addition to my job as a researcher, I am also a professor. I've been an adjunct professor for 14 years at 2 different universities. I've taught in the classroom, I've taught online, I've taught graduates, I've taught undergraduates. So that's given me a little bit of perspective of how the administration works, what works, and also what doesn't work. And lastly, believe it or not, I am also a student. I am finishing up my master's, hopefully in May. So that does also give me a perspective as a student, albeit a much, much older student. Thank you.
Thank you very much. The next question is, what criteria would you consider to be the most important when evaluating potential candidates for the Montgomery College Board of Trustees? And Dr. Rayan, we'll start with you.
In addition to the duties of basic planning and oversight, the Board of Trustee applicants must be able to address such issues as tuition affordability, job placement for graduates, quality of education, and competition with other institutions and online learning programs. They should have the strategic vision for the college, articulate a clear long-term vision for the college, be able to anticipate the effects of the changing federal funds and other potential risks that will affect the college in the next 4 to 6 years. They should demonstrate and ensure fiduciary responsibility. They should be able to show that stewardship of the college financial, physical, and human resources is prime in their role. All candidates should have these attributes for us to assess and thereby pass them on as a candidate to the government. They need to be able to show influence in both state, local, and hopefully around the U.S., communication ability, conflict management ability, leadership, change catalyst, building bonds, collaboration and cooperation, and support of the mission of the college. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. DeResta.
Yeah, I think when you have 10 board members, you're looking for a number of different things. You're looking for the ability to work with others, energy for reform, and then there's the old sports metaphor. The best ability is availability. But if I had to pick the most important criteria, I think the first thing I'm looking for is an expertise to use the budget to enhance the education experience for the students. As a parent, I know how important college degrees are. I also understand very well how expensive they are. And so I think whoever we pick has to maximize the budget for the student experience while also keeping it affordable. Second, I want someone who has the best interests of the students at heart. If I read the budget correctly, there is less money in FY25 than there was in FY24. I think there is also likelihood that there's going to be less state money this year, which means whoever takes these roles in the future will have to deal with budget cuts. I want someone there who will keep the best interests of the students first. And lastly, someone who brings a valuable perspective and expertise on the board. I don't think any governing body performs well without some diversity of thought and or life experience. That doesn't mean we need 10 different perspectives on the board, but I do think it's incredibly important to bring in multiple viewpoints. Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Carnison?
When evaluating potential candidates for the Montgomery College Board of Trustees, I would consider several key criteria to ensure that the board is composed of individuals who can effectively govern the institution and support its mission. And some of those important factors include a commitment to higher education and student success. A strong candidate should have demonstrated passion for education, particularly in the advancement of students' access, equity, and success. They should understand the role of community colleges in providing affordable, high-quality education and workforce development opportunities. Strategic leadership and governance experience, so they would play a critical role in shaping institutional policies and overseeing college financial health. Candidates should experience and in government's leadership and decision-making, whether it's previous board service, executive roles, or community leadership. The financial and budgetary awareness. As stewards of the college's resources, trustees should have a solid understanding of financial oversight, budgeting, and fiscal responsibility to ensure its sustainability and accountability in the institutional financial decisions. The vision for a future for Montgomery College. Candidates should be forward-thinking and able to contribute to strategic discussions about the college's roles in its evolving higher educational landscape, their insights in innovation, workforce development, and institutional growth, and help position Montgomery College for long-term success. And lastly, ethical integrity and decision-making skills. Trustees must uphold the higher standards of ethics, transparency, and accountability for their role. Candidates should demonstrate sound judgment, a commitment to ethical leadership, and the ability to make decisions in the best interest of the students, faculty, and the community.
Thank you. The third question, we'll start with Mr. DeResta. How will you consider racial equity and social justice issues as you identify and evaluate candidates for the Board of Trustees?
Well, simply put, representation matters. The students should see themselves reflected in the Board of Trustees. That means racial diversity, I believe it's a majority minority institution, so that has to be a factor. That means gender diversity. I believe there are more women than men as students at the university, so that has to also be a factor. And another factor that doesn't get mentioned that often, which is socioeconomic diversity. If I read it correctly, the students are majority part-time students. That means a lot of them go to school at night. It means a lot of them go to school online. And I think we need someone on the board who, if they haven't had that experience themselves, at least understands that experience, because those people have different needs than regular students.
Dr. Carnison?
First, I will prioritize the diversity of perspectives and lived experiences, ensuring that the candidates reflect the diverse racial, cultural, and socioeconomic backgrounds of Montgomery College student population. Representation matters, as stated, and having trustees who understand the systematic barriers faced by underrepresented communities can lead to more informed decisions, making that making fosters an inclusive academic environment. I would also evaluate a candidate's awareness of racial disparities in education and their vision for creating inclusive opportunities at Montgomery College. Those who recognize and actively work to dismantle inequalities, whether it's in curriculum development, faculty diversity, financial aid accessibility, or student support services, would be strong contributors to the board. And lastly, I would ensure that the selection process itself is equitable by promoting transparency, mitigating biases, and actively seeking candidates from diverse backgrounds. This includes outreach to community leaders, affinity groups, and organizations that support racial equity in education.
Thank you. Dr. Ryan?
We need to be knowledgeable of the student demographics and the county demographics in recruiting for the board. We should actively seek diverse board representation. This includes effective boards aimed for diversity, including age, gender, race, and professional experience. Currently, the board has 3 Hispanic board members, 2 Black board members, and 3 white board members. But the student demographics are 28% Hispanic, 25% Black, 19% white, and 12% Asian. And for the county demographics are 43% white, 28% Black, 15% Asian, and 13% Hispanic. We should keep this in mind as we evaluate each board member. For social justice, the nominating committee needs to be cognizant of socio and economic issues in Montgomery County, as well as the state of Maryland, to ensure that new board members are knowledgeable of these issues and can recommend solutions for the college to be able to represent equity. In this new environment of grants and potentially loans going away from the federal government and research capabilities, board members will need to be able to think out of the box. I established a scholarship at Georgia State University for students that are going to the Boys and Girls Club in downtown Atlanta. They need to be able to think of new ways to bring in revenue in order to bring a variety of students the capability to go to college and to have that kind of education. Thank you very much.
Terrific. My last question before I turn to colleagues will be, will you be able to make the time commitment the committee requires? And are there any potential conflicts of interest of which we should be aware? And Dr. Carnison, we'll start with you again.
Yes, I am able to make the time commitment. I am fully aware of the dedication and time and effort that it takes to fulfill the responsibilities effective for this position. And at this time, I do not have any conflicts that will be conflicts of interest that I am aware of that would inhibit me from being in this position.
Terrific. Dr. Ryan?
Currently, I have no restrictions that would keep me from being able to fill the responsibilities of this role, and I look forward to the ability to do so.
Mr. DiResta?
I have the ability to control my own schedule. My company is my own, so that gives me a lot of flexibility, and I don't know of any conflicts of interest at the current time.
Great. Those are all the questions I have. I will now turn it over to Council Vice President Jawando.
Thank you, Madam President. I just wanted to say thank you in my capacity as chair of the Education Committee and a big fan of the number 10 rated community college in the country out of 1,000, that you will be entrusted with making sure that that keeps going up. And thank you for putting yourselves forward, and really appreciate the time with you today. Thank you.
Councilmember Glass.
Thank you very much. Thank you all for your interest in wanting to serve the community and our next generation of leaders here in the county. I do have a question for you, and it's been something that you all have alluded to in some way. There are some challenges that we as a community are experiencing, and very pointedly within Montgomery College, the enrollment has declined a little bit. Some of the costs have increased a little bit. I'm just curious what your thoughts are on how we provide, as was noted, the best education for residents of our community, recognizing that there are some of these challenges that exist. I don't know who we're going to start with.
Yeah, Ms. Carrington, you can start.
I think it's being aware of the community and like where they stand as far as the resources that are already available. A lot of times it's about, not knowing what's available for them to actually participate in, to be a part of the community. My sorority is 85 Beta Sorority Incorporated, Gamma Alpha Eta Zeta chapter, is hosting like a women's fair at the college this month. And that is something that brings the community to the college so they can be more aware of it, can be more active in what is available for them. So if they know what's there, they can actually participate more in it. And some of it is also being able to go out into the community and show, this is what we have, this is the level in which we would like to present these opportunities to you, and how we can actually put those in place that you can actually receive and put them in action for your family and your life.
Thank you.
I think one of the challenges for any family, and of course I've heard this through GCCA, the Eastern County group that I'm with, they need to be knowledgeable of ways to get money to go to college. I mean, it's pretty practical. I paid for all my degrees myself. My parents didn't have the wherewithal to do so, and I had to work. And so being able to look at, for instance, there are so many websites out there that can help high school students look for grants, for instance, for fire department employees, to be able to get a grant, whether it's $500 or $10,000, to help them start their path down the path to go to college. Also, being able to work and go to college. I think Montgomery College is one of the best institutions for facilitating this with nighttime classes. They just opened up a new center over on East County so that it is closer to where they may be working or where they may live. And I think that we need to facilitate through this process of finding committee members that are going to help facilitate that to the future, and look to other revenue streams that they can possibly get either through corporations or through the county or through the state. And that way the students will have more of an ability to go to school and be able to access college education.
Well, when you're evaluating someone who wants to be on the board of trustees, I think we've learned, or at least I have, that the past is prologue. What have they done in the past when faced with situations where there needs to be some belt tightening? Is their first reaction to lay off lower staff if they've been in education? Have they sought to reduce teachers? Have they sought to reduce benefits for students? Or have they looked to the administration, maintenance and organization? So I want to know what they've done in the past, and I think that will help us figure out what they're going to do in the future, because I think we all are very concerned about what's coming in the next 6 to 12 months for these universities.
Appreciate your responses. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Not seeing any other colleagues in the queue, I just want to say thank you so much for being here this afternoon. We appreciate you all putting yourselves out there and being so dedicated to our community and also to Montgomery College. So thank you very much and have a good afternoon. With that, colleagues, that was our last item for the agenda today. We are adjourned. Thank you.